Hello, and we are here with Chapter 4 of Along Came a Wolf by Dreece. This is Packed Together. Ellie and Richie loved to hang out at the three-level treehouse. From the top floor they could see their town of Minette on the mountain plateau below, and on clear days they could see all the way down to the much larger city of Minute at the base of the mountain. Some months before, Ellie and Richie had been incredulous when T had come running up the road with a crazy story about a fantastic treehouse in the forest. "Guys, you'll never believe what I found," T had blurted out to Richie and Ellie. The two had been playing cards in Richie's front yard. T's cheeks were rosy and her breath was visible in the crisp spring air. Her hair and eyes were hidden by the hood of her warm yellow cloak. Richie looked up. His messy, short black hair made him appear as if he'd just woken up. He put his cards down and examined T. She had twigs all over her cloak. "You know, that look of 'I was just running through the forest until a tree fell on me' is an interesting fashion statement, Lala." "Yeah, Lala. What's going on so excited?" asked Ellie. Ellie and Lala, as they sometimes called T, had been friends since they were 9 months old. Their mothers had met on the way to the farmer's house outside of Minute. Since then, barely a day went by when Ellie and T didn't see each other. While T would jump into a situation without fear, Ellie would always dive in after, with loyalty and faith in her friend. "You look like you ran up and then back down into the mountain," Ellie said. "Well," said T, still huffing, "I guess I kind of did in a way." She plunked herself down beside them. "I found something you'll never believe. There's an incredible treehouse near the top of the mountain." "You're right. I don't believe you," said Richie, picking his cards back up. Ellie gave T the eyebrow treatment. "Uh-huh. You mean the top of the mountain that we've been up to at least twice a year for the past 5 years?" T nodded. "So," Richie said, looking at Ellie and shaking his head in support, "a treehouse just magically appeared." T shook her head. "Magic? No, there's no such thing. But it did seem to appear all of a sudden. Did I mention it has 3 floors? "No way!" said Ellie and Richie in unison. They laughed and looked at each other. "Jinx!" they said in unison. Then they eyeballed each other. "Double jinx!" they said in unison again. T waved for them to stop. "Guys, enough jinxing! Come on! You've got to see this!" T picked herself back up and started running up the mountain road. "Wait!" said Richie. "We're going to need ropes and gear to get to the top of the mountain." "Why are you running? It's going to take an hour or 2. You'll see." "We don't need that stuff anymore," T yelled back. "Richie, what are you up to?" asked Ellie from the second floor below, just thinking about the treehouse and how weird it is that after all this time we're still the only ones who come here. Well, other than whoever keeps adding pieces to it and new stuff for us to find. "I think magic elves do all that," said Ellie cheekily. "It'd be nice if they could leave some sandwiches next time. I forgot to bring a snack today." Richie looked down at the system of ropes, pulleys, and weights on the mountainside that had mysteriously appeared last spring along with the treehouse. There were 5 sets of ropes to help you run up the mountain, and 4 sets to zip you back down to the main road that led to Minette. The system had been cleverly put together so that the ropes were hard to see from the ground, but easy to spot from the treehouse. Richie noticed some of the weights moving and indicating someone coming up. He peered into the distance and saw a flash of yellow. "Hey, Ellie! It looks like T's coming up. She's running crazy fast like a bear's chasing her or something. I thought you said that she's going to her grandfather's house for the day." "Yeah." Ellie climbed up the wooden stairs to join him on the 3rd floor. "That's what her mom had said. She won't be home until dinner. You know, T and her grandpapa?" Ellie tried to see what had grabbed Richie's attention. He pointed at the flash of yellow running from rope to rope racing up the mountain. "If she's supposed to be at her grandfather's house, then why is she running like a maniac up the mountain? She only runs that fast when she's in trouble," finished Ellie nervously. Something caught her eye further down the mountain. "Wait. What's that, Richie?" Richie leaned over the railing and squinted. "I'm not sure." "Oh, hang on. I've got an idea." He ran down to the cabinets on the 1st level to get the telescope. They discovered it under a floorboard the week before. Telescope in hand, Richie raced back up, oriented himself, and peered through it. After a moment, he swallowed hard. "Ellie, those are..." Nikolas called out for his granddaughter again, but only the birds replied. He stepped out of the woods and onto the dusty road. He felt old and tired. Tears of worry streamed down his face. He rubbed his bald head as he tried to think about how he was going to fix the situation. His normally calm, brilliant mind was overwhelmed by worry that T might be harmed. He struggled to come up with a plan. He'd made a gross miscalculation. Andre Leloup had been much better prepared than Nikolas had expected. Clearly, Simon St. Malo had gained more than just influence in recent years. Nikolas figured St. Malo must have found a powerful patron, someone rich enough to afford an expensive man like Leloup plus his 3 horsemen. Nikolas wondered if Simon suspected he didn't actually have the plans for the steam engine. Maybe Simon was hoping Nikolas would give up whatever he did have. Something that could be even more valuable? Or maybe Simon was trying to show that after all these years he could still terrorize Nikolas? Nikolas's thoughts returned to his granddaughter. When he'd urged T to run, he had assumed the horseman would try to subdue him and take him back to Lulu. Instead, as soon as T had run off, two of them chased after her. The third one had roughed Nikolas up a bit before following the other two. I should have known better, he kept thinking. Lulu had given him the clue right there in his entranceway. Lulu had said he'd do whatever it would take to get what he wanted, and he meant it. It was obvious now that Lulu intended to use T as leverage. Nikolas wasn't sure what to do. This had all happened so quickly. It had been years since he'd been seeing any real action. Looking back now, he'd felt he'd followed himself to enjoy life too much, and had grown soft and slow because of it. For too long, Nikolas had thought of the tub's battles as no longer his battle. He hung his head for a moment in recognition of how wrong he'd been. He couldn't hide from the world any longer. Nikolas hoped he knew his granddaughter as well as he believed he did. She should be heading to the top of the mountain, he thought. The ropes and pulley should allow her to stay ahead of the horsemen. From behind, a rough voice called, "Hey! You there!" Nikolas's shoulders slumped. He fought up the idea that Lulu had already caught T, that Lulu had already won. He wouldn't accept it unless he saw it with his own eyes. Slowly he turned. 3 large figures walked toward him. They were about 40 yards away. 2 were pointing flintlock rifles at him. The shortest one, still a tall man, had a pistol in each hand, also pointing at him. The Cocken brothers. "Look!" bellowed Boar. "It's Mr. Nick!" "Hello, Mr. Nick!" Boar tossed his rifle aside carelessly. He ran to give Nikolas a huge hug. Relief washed over Nikolas. "Boys, I'm so happy to see you." When Boar finally let him go, Nikolas fell to his knees, where he remained for a moment to catch his breath. Bacon put his pistols away and offered a hand to help Nikolas to his feet. Squeal shouldered his rifle. "Sorry, Mr. Klaus. We didn't know it was you. What are you doing here?" Nikolas felt a mix of emotions start to rise up inside him. With tears coming to his eyes, he steeled himself, trying to stay focused. "You ran into the messenger today, yes?" Bacon's right eyebrow shot up in surprise. "Yes. How did you know that?" Nikolas gave a sad, knowing smile. There was much he knew about that went on, about the affair of others, a lot of which he couldn't share. "I know there are few who came to this town without finding out. You did try to stop him, yes?" "Yes," said Squeals, "until Bacon was hit with magic. A stone. I was hit with a stone." "Stunned me for a minute," said Bacon, irritated, subconsciously rubbing the back of his head. "Ah, T, yes, that makes sense now," muttered Nikolas to himself. Then he said aloud, "The messenger. We must find him." "We'll find him eventually," said Squeals. We didn't like his look anyway. He looked like trouble. We wanted to tell Archibald, but he's out and his guys don't listen to us. This man has a horseman, and Nikolas's voice broke. "And they're after my granddaughter." Tears started to stream down his face again. Bacon didn't hesitate. "Which way are we going?"